Next is the update statement. This statement is used to update the existing data in the table created. We have the update keyword specifying the table we want to update, the set keyword that will set the values of the specified columns, and where keyword that serves as the condition to which data will be manipulated or updated. SQL update statement is used to change or modify column values. Three components to an update statement: table you wish to change, column you wish to change, and the source data you wish to use to make the change. General format of update statement. So, sa pag-update po natin ng table, meron po tayong update na keyword, yung table name, set na keyword, tsaka yung column 1, halimbawa yung column 1 yung gusto natin baguhin, yung value nun na gusto natin i-equate, and so on and so forth. And sa pag-create po ng, pag-update ng kada row po, so halimbawa, meron po tayong update na keyword, then yung value, or yung table rather, ng gusto natin i-update. Then yung set na keyword, halimbawa, city made is equal natin sa Manila. Then, yung row GUID is equate naman natin sa new ID. So, para makita natin yung pagkakaiba nila. Then, execute po natin. Yan, sa unang column, ito po yung original value nila. Then, matapos ito po yung unang select statement po natin. Yung sa pangalawang select statement po natin, makikita natin na lahat ng city made is naging Manila na. Dahil dito sa update statement natin dito. Ganun din sa row GUID natin na nag-iba rin siya dahil sa update statement natin dito. So next is yung updating multiple columns. Same pa rin po sa pag-update statement po natin. Meron po tayong update na keyword. Yung table na gusto natin i-update, yung set na keyword, and yung gusto natin na i-set na column, and yung value nun. But in updating multiple columns, meron po tayong condition na meron din pong where na keyword. So, update na keyword, then yung table na gusto natin i-update, then set na keyword, halimbawa, yung city, is-equate natin sa Manila, halimbawa. Then, yung condition natin, na where. May where na keyword. Halimbawa, lahat ng may sales, na flavor sales, na greater than 300, and flavor sales na less than 500, lahat ng mga values na nandoon na nakapaloob dito sa condition na to is mapapalitan yung city nila ng Manila City. City name. Yan. Para makita natin yung difference nila is output natin yung select statement. Execute natin. Yan. So, lahat ng flavor sales, ito yung original na table natin dito sa select statement na to. Then, ito na yung updated na table natin. Halimbawa, si 450 nakapaloob siya dito sa condition na to, 300 to 500. Ibig sabihin, pasok siya dun sa condition na mapapalitan yung city natin. Ganon din sa 340, napapalitan din siya ng city na Manila City, and yung 470. Dahil pasok siya dun sa condition natin. Ganon po mag-update na ng multiple columns using where conditions or yung meron po tayong condition and where statements.
So next, I'll be showing you how to use the delete statement, which allows users to remove one or several rows. So this is the basic structure for delete. So this is the first phrase, which is delete from, and then this is followed by the name of the table that contains the row that you want to delete. In this example syntax, that will be table underscore name. And then this is followed by the word where, which specifies the record that should be deleted according to the condition that is assigned to it. So this condition, this serves as the criteria used to choose which rows to delete. And upon using delete, it is advisable to wrap the statement in a transaction, so you don't have to repeatedly insert rows into the database in case there is an error. So we do this by adding begin transaction statement at the starting point and then the rollback statement at the end. Because the begin transaction, this represents the point at which the data is being temporarily written. If there is any error that is encountered, all the data modifications made after the begin transaction can be rolled back to the start of the transaction, because this rollback, this lets the user to undo those transactions that aren't saved yet in the database, because this makes it so that every time you encounter any errors, all the modifications you made are erased, and this saves you the hassle of fixing the initial contents of your database. So if the transaction completes without any errors, then your commands will execute successfully. So next, I'll be showing you how to use the delete statement. Here, I made an initial table, and that is named table_SQL salesperson, and we will have 4 columns. That would be salesperson ID, full name, sales last year, and then the city. And as you can see down here below, I have already inserted the records that the table will contain, and we have 5 rows for our table. So if you want to delete every row in your table, all you have to do is to not use the where clause. So for this example, our command will only be using the phrase delete from and then the name of our table, and that would be table_SQL salesperson. So let me execute this. As you can see, all the rows from our table has been deleted. Let me bring back our initial table here. So now, what if you want to delete a single row? Well, that will be easy to do by using the prime key as your condition. So the prime key for our table, that would be the salesperson ID. So our command will be delete from, then the name of our table, followed by the where clause. So the salesperson ID, which serves as our prime key, and then the equal sign. And then the equal sign will be followed by the respective value of ID of the row that you would like to delete. So for example, I would like to delete the row that contains Jillian Carson. So if we're gonna look at our table, Jillian Carson has the salesperson ID 10095. So let me execute this. As you can see, Jillian Carson is now deleted from our table. So let me bring back the initial table. Next, I'll be showing an example of how to delete multiple rows. And deleting multiple rows depends on your given condition. Suppose we only want to show high-performing salespeople in the SQL salesperson table. Specifically, we only want to keep those salespeople with last year's sales that are greater or equal to 2 million. So let's look at our initial table. We should be left with 1, 2, 3 rows of data. So our delete statement, it should be delete from, then the name of our table, the where clause, and then our condition, it should be sales last year less than 2 million. Because we want to delete those rows whose values of sales of last year is less than the 2 million amount. So we should, let me execute this. As you can see, we are only left with 3 rows of data. In the delete statement, we also have considerations to do. First is we must consider how to handle errors, and what we want is that if a delete statement encounters an error, no rows are to be removed. There are many reasons why a delete statement may fail. Some of the more typical ones include the orphan rows and arithmetic errors. Orphan rows refer to data that is no longer associated with the corresponding record or entity in a database. This situation typically arises when a record, file, or an object is deleted, but the associated data remains in the system without a proper link to a parent entity. For example, we have a child table and a parent table. If we want to delete the parent table, our child table will be orphaned, or it will become an orphan row. The way around this is to first remove the corresponding child table rows, then the parent table row. So we should remove the orphan data because it can lead to various issues, including data inconsistency, inefficiency, in storage usage, and potential challenges in data maintenance and retrieval. As for the arithmetic error, this can occur when there is a calculation error in your data. For example, divide by 0 is an arithmetic error, so what we want to happen is for the delete to be cancelled and for no rows are to be removed. Next, we want to consider the locking behavior because an exclusive lock on the table is placed by the delete statement. This means that no other query can modify the table's data until the delete transaction completes. You can still read the data, but you need to use the no lock hint, which allows SQL to read data from tables by ignoring any locks and therefore not get blocked by other processes. Another way to read the data is by using the read uncommitted isolation level. The read uncommitted allows dirty read, in which exclusive locks set by a transaction do not block the other transaction from reading the locked data. The last thing to consider is that delete is not truncate. We should use delete to remove one or more rows from a table. Only in special situations, such as when you need to reset a table to its initial state, should you consider the use of truncate. In the delete statement, one or more rows can be deleted at once. But in the truncate command, all the rows get deleted at once. The truncate command does not use any condition like a where clause in order to define a condition. So, we should use it only when all the data in the target table is unwanted. Its syntax is truncate table followed by the table name. Of course, the same result can be achieved by using the delete statement without any condition. But that would be much more slower because delete will keep a log of each row in the transaction table, in which we can use the row count function in order to find out how many rows were deleted.
Complex example, delete using a subquery. Just about any clause you can write into a select statement where clause can be written into the delete statements, including subqueries in the where clause. So any clause na pwedeng isulat sa select statement where clause, ay pwede din siya sa delete statement. So pati na rin yung mga where clause ng subqueries. Let's do an example. Suppose you need to remove all salespersons that live in the US from the ESQL salesperson table. Though our table is city, it doesn't have a country. We can get around this by using a subquery. Here you can see an example of the delete using a subquery. The subquery is colored blue. Notice that it is no different from any other correlated subquery you may have used in the past. The mechanics of this delete statement are: find the distinct cities for all people that live in the US and delete salespeople whose city is in the list. The first step results from the subquery. The second step deletes rows per the where clause. So yung first step niya, hinahanap niya yung distinct cities ng lahat ng tao na nakatira sa US. Then, i-delete niya yung sales ng people na nasa kasama sa list. Next, we have the truncate table statement. However, if you do want to remove all the rows at once, the truncate table statement will help you do it quicker than a delete statement. The syntax for this query looks like this. So, we will see truncate table and then yung table name. While removing the rows from the table, the statement doesn't actually delete the structure of the table. You can use the statement if you want to rework the entire table. So ito, hindi niya dinidelete yung pinaka-cell. Ang dinidelete lang niya yung value na nakalagay doon sa loob ng mga cells. Doon sa row na napili ng query.
Proofread your SQL query. If you've finished writing an SQL query and hindi pa rin ito gumagana, you might have made a mistake along the way and make sure na i-check mo ulit ito. Here, we have the common SQL query mistakes. Una, yung misspelled commands. Ito yung pinaka-common mistake na nangyayari. Halimbawa, yung select command, nakulangan ng letter C. Hindi siya gagana since mali yung spelling na nagkakos ng syntax error and it prevents the database from interpreting what you've asked for. Next is yung omission or missing of punctuation marks. Required kasi na dapat precise usage of symbols gaya ng quotation marks, single quotes, commas, and parentheses to structure the queries properly para hindi siya magkaroon ng syntax error. Para rin ma-make sure na ma-display natin everything properly. Last is the improper order of the statements. This is another common reason why SQL queries fail since SQL follows a specific order of operations kahit na all of the components are correct. Make sure to keep in mind the common mistakes para ma-avoid natin ito or if magkaroon man, we already have an understanding kung saan ilolocate and para ma-solve yung issue.
Commit and rollback allows you to save and undo any unwanted changes since your last save commit. Commit command, any changes committed to the database will be saved. Rollback command, undo any changes since the last commit command should be executed before any commit command is made. Here are the basic syntax for commit command and rollback command. Now moving on to subquery. Is a query nested inside another query? It can be used to filter, compute, or manipulate data based on the result of another query. Subqueries are useful when you need to fetch data based on the result of another query. Here is the syntax for subquery. Moving on to selecting rows with conditional restriction. This involves selecting specific rows based on conditions or criteria. Using the where clause, the purpose is to filter data and retrieve only the rows that meet certain criteria. Making restrictions. Select from table name and where condition. This is the basic syntax for it. And using computed columns and aliases. Computed columns involve using expression or calculations within a query, and aliases provide a custom name for the result of a column or expression to improve readability. Here's the basic syntax. And rules of precedence. Determine the order in which operation in a query are evaluated. When a query involves multiple operators, SQL follows these rules to ensure the operations are executed in the correct sequence. Understanding operators' precedence is crucial when combining conditions, arithmetic expressions, or other logics. Here is our rules of precedence guide. Operator precedence summary, highest to lowest. Highest meaning priority, and lowest meaning not a priority. So first, we're going to solve what's in the parentheses. Next, arithmetic values, comparison of data types or elements, logical not before logical and end before logical or, and finally string concatenation. Pag-usapan natin commit command. Yung purpose nito, save any changes made to the database. Parang checkpoint siya na ginagamit within the database para masave yung data mo yun para di mawala. Tapos yung kabagtar mo nito is yung rollback. Typically, ginagamit siya before mag-commit. Ginagawa ng rollback is yung binabalik niya sa last na commit mo. Kunyari, for example, yung una mong commit is 1. Tapos nagpalit ka naging 2 na. Pero ayaw mo ng 2. So, pag nag-rollback ka, babalik siya sa 1. Or kung gusto mo naman ng 2 na, magko-commit ka uli. Which is, 2 na yung value mo. So, a quick review lang sa mga commands. Firstly, we're gonna talk about insert command. May dalawang types ng insert command, which is ito. Yung hindi ka nag-specify ng columns. Kasi ito naman yun pag nag-specify ka ng columns. 3 lang kailangan mo. Which is first name, last name, RLP. Wala yung date dito. Kasi ito lang naman 3 tinawag mo. Tapos dito naman sa hindi naka-specified, kailangan mo i-call lahat, lagay lahat ng value na kailangan dito. Which is first name, last name, hourly pay, tsaka date hired. Clear natin yan ngayon. Wala pa palang table. Kamuna natin, execute. Tapos ito. Execute. Apektuhan yung mga row. And then, run, select. Select from... pag-usapan natin select. Ginawa ng select is kumukuha ng data. Tapos ilalagay niya sa table. Ayan. Ayan. Nagkaroon na siya ng value. Tapos, ayan na. Next command naman na gawin natin, which is yung commit command. First, magbibigyan tayo ng transaction. Tapos, commit tayo. Ayan na, nag-commit na. Which is, ito na yung pinaka natin commit. So, ito na yun. And then, gusto natin mag-update. Okay, bigyan ulit tayo ng bagong transaction kasi magko-commit ulit tayo. Update natin yung ID number 1 to bim. Apektuhan. So, gusto natin palitan lahat ng pay nila. So, 89.99 na natin yan. Tapos, gusto natin palitan yung apelido ng ID number 3 and ID number 4, which is going to execute. Tapos, kakomit na tayo para masave lahat ng binago natin. Ayan na. Kasi natin sa deleting, bibigyan tayo kasi gagamitin yung rollback feature mamaya. Begin transaction. Tapos mag-delete natin si table, si ID na 102. Kasi ayaw natin sa kanya ganun. So, i-delete natin si 103 tsaka si 104. Ayan. Tapos gusto ko na i-delete lahat. So, ito na yun. Execute. Hala. Delete na lahat. So, pag niran natin yan, wala na. Gusto ko siya ibalik. I-roll back natin. Boom. And then, pag niran natin, bumalik na siya sa lahat. Yung mga delete natin na wala na. Maganda itong rollback kung hindi ka pa certain. Kunyari na typo mo. Delete from Krusty Krab. Tapos na-run mo. Na hindi na Hala! Delete ko lahat. Buti na may rollback feature. Lagi tayong magbibigin transaction bago mag-rollback. Or magbigin transaction bago mag-commit. Execute natin. So, pag-usapan natin yung subquery. Selecting rows with conditional restrictions and using computed columns and aliases. Firstly, gawin muna natin yung table natin. Nagawa tayo table. Pakita muna natin kung ano yung itsura niya. Ayan, ganyan lang siya. Alipay, 999. Tapos, ito naman tayo. Subquery. Select subquery. Kukunin lang niya yung mga employees na maximum yung hourly pay, which is everybody naman. Kaya, ayan, select max hourly pay from Krusty Krab. So, pag niran natin to, theoretically, dapat lalabas lahat sila. So, execute natin. Ayan, lalabas lahat sila. SpongeBob, Squidward, Eugene, Patrick, kasi lahat sila maximum yung hourly pay nila. Okay, dito naman tayo sa conditional restrictions. Select employees hired before 2005, Pag binaliktad natin, pag ginawa natin to, lahat sila lalabas. Yeah. Pero, pag binaliktad natin, tingnan natin, walang lalabas. Ganyan. Kasi, sinelect lang natin is before 2005, January 1. Lahat sila. 2005, October 24. Balikan natin sa kanina. So, ito naman, using computed columns and aliases, calculate weekly pay and alias it as. Ito yung alias tawag dyan. Kunin natin yung first name, last name. Kasi ito tayo magagawa ng operator. Gagamit ang operator, which is ito, multiply. Hourly pay, which is yung 9999. So, ito yung 40 hours sila nagtatrabaho sa isang week. Tapos, kukunin natin sila sa Krusty Krab. So, pag nila natin to, cute. As you can see, yung weekly pay niya yung hourly pay niya naging weekly pay. Dahil dito sa alias. Tapos pag example natin, i-combine natin lahat. Ibayin natin to. Nagkapares ko sila ng date ating 2004 tong isa. 2003. 2010. Kasi 11 nga yun. Check natin. Okay, lang natin ulit. Nadoble siya, pero ulitin natin para mas clear. Drop table, Krusty Krab. Execute. Next natin, got a table. Execute. Then, i-run natin to. Run natin lahat to. Kakaiba nila. Ayan, dito sa dulo, di ba? Dalawa lang kasi yung dalawa hindi sila pumunta sa condition na to. The date hired over 2005. Kaya itong dalawa lang nakuha. Itong dalawa. And ito, hindi siya nakuha. As you can see, SpongeBob tsaka si Patrick lang.